In this video, I'm going to talk about the 4 mistakes I'm seeing home buyers make in the Austin, Texas area right now. I'm Joyce Peterson. I'm the broker and owner of Kopa Real Estate, and I'm primarily a listing agent. So I'm seeing buyers every weekend at our open houses. I'm talking to agents, and I'm seeing the offers that they put in. And these are the 4 mistakes that I'm seeing buyers make in February of 2023. Let's talk about the first mistake I'm seeing is that putting in bad offers. And what I mean by that is a lot of buyers are out there and they're thinking they're going to make low offers. And you know what? A lot of sellers are actually negotiable right now. They will come down on their price if they see that it's a good deal and you're a solid buyer. But what I'm seeing is that a lot of buyers are making offers and the price is low. And then all of the other terms are just signaling to me as a listing agent and to the seller that you're going to be flaky. And so what happens at that point is that the sellers don't want to be jacked around. Like I said, they're often negotiable on the price if they feel like you're going to be a good, solid buyer, but the rest of the terms of the contract can't be so one-sided that nobody's going to consider your offer. And so here's what I've just been through, and we just closed on this deal so I could talk about it. I had somebody make an offer on a house, and the price was a little bit low, but really what happened is those terms were just terrible, and nobody in the right mind would sign a contract like that. So the seller wasn't even willing to make a counteroffer. And from my standpoint, normally if I get an offer and I feel like the buyer and the agent are going to be solid and it's going to be a good transaction, I'll generally encourage the seller to make some kind of counteroffer, even if it's only $1. In this case, the terms were so bad that the seller was like, no, I don't even want to screw around with it. I'm not even going to make a counteroffer. So a couple of days later, that same buyer came back with a full price offer and closed at that price. And so they could have negotiated down on the sales price if they had made the other terms in the contract better and made themselves look more solid. So you really need to talk with your agent. Your agent needs to have some experience. One of the advantages of working with myself or a team that actually has experience is that I've presented over 1,000 offers to sellers. And so I have a pretty good idea of how they're going to react to some of these items. And you really have to decide what's most important to you. If you're wanting to negotiate down lower on the price, you probably need to make better terms for the rest of the contract. Now, at the same time, the other mistake that I'm seeing along the same lines is buyers refusing to make an offer at all or just not wanting to make an offer because they're so worried, oh, I'm going to offend somebody if I make an offer. And, my experience, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think a single buyer has ever been killed by making an offer. The worst thing that happens is you get your offer rejected. It takes like 5 minutes to write up an offer. All the contracts are just standard paperwork. It's just fill in the blank. So I see buyers and I see agents and they're going around and spending so much energy about, well, we might make an offer, would they consider this type of an offer? And like I just said, the sellers aren't going to negotiate without knowing all of the terms. So when you or your agent calls me and says, hey, we want to make an offer for X dollars, nobody takes that seriously because this is just negotiating 101. You want to know all of the moving pieces in that offer and not just the sales price. The second mistake that I'm seeing home buyers in the Austin, Texas area make is that they're just focusing on the wrong thing. And this could be partly location. This could be partly things about the house. I saw a realtor post a message the other day, and the buyer that she was representing, she was looking at the property or looking for a particular property. And the buyer was willing to do just about anything, go anywhere, except for one thing. The one deal breaker was the house needed to have a window in the laundry room. And this just doesn't make any sense, right? You really should be focusing on things like the location and the neighborhood and some of the other features of the house, and not some of these things that really, in the grand scheme of things, are not important at all. Other things that I see are people come in and they're measuring for the dining room table because they've had this table for a long time, or maybe they have one party every 15 years when the table's going to be full, and there's a perfect house, but maybe that one piece of furniture just doesn't work out for them, and that doesn't make sense either. A lot of other buyers I'm seeing are so terrified about doing minor updating And again, the adage in real estate is the three most important things are location, location, location. And generally what's happening is I'm seeing people, they'd rather pay the same price for a house in a tier 3 or tier 4 neighborhood, that because maybe it's newer, maybe it's new and it has some updating, rather than buying a home in, quite frankly, a superior neighborhood where maybe you could walk to the elementary school or has better amenities, but perhaps you need to spend $4,000 on replacing countertops, right? Or updating something in the house. And it's so easy to do that. This is one of those things that I know it catches the eye to buy something that's that newer, that has that bling to it. But that's really a mistake over the long run, and not really thinking about what's going to happen with that property in the next 5 years, to focus on some of those just kind of really important things about real estate. The third mistake that I'm seeing home buyers make in the Austin, Texas area is working with a part-time real estate agent or maybe a real estate agent and focusing on getting some kind of rebate back from that agent. So I know you're going to argue with me. You're going to say it doesn't matter. But again, I'm the listing agent usually in these deals. So I'm often the only person that really understands all of the dynamics of what's going on within offers and closing on a sale. And there's a couple of things that happens when you're working with an agent like this. First off, there is still a large number of home sales that are happening off market. And usually when you're working with an agent that's part-time, or maybe your cousin from Houston, or an agent that is more of a rebate broker, let's say, they often don't have those connections, or they're not really out working in the business every day and actually looking for properties and have any way to find you an off-market deal. So all you have access to is the homes that are listed in MLS. And the second thing is that you have to be really careful with a lot of these agents. Are they, in the first place, really looking out after you? And sometimes there might not be any malice there. They could just mean that they don't have the experience. They might not really be out in the business and have a number of home sales that they've done. So they can't tell you which homes, or maybe a floor plan, or maybe a neighborhood you might want to stay away from. And particularly with the way the market is right now, you might be a little bit anxious, you might be a little bit nervous. But there are things that you can do as a home buyer defensively to minimize any downside risk in the market. And often what I'm seeing is agents that don't have a lot of experience that way, they're not going to be able to shepherd you and guide you through that. And you really want somebody who's going to give you some advice and be like, maybe you don't want to buy that. And here's why, because this is what I've seen in the market. The second, with some of these agents, including some of the agents that work at publicly traded companies, is they're being graded on the number of homes that they show buyers before those buyers go under contract on a house. And you want to think about that. How does that work to your advantage as a buyer, right? You want to be able to buy when you find that perfect house and not feel rushed into it. And so again, I can tell you as a listing agent, there are agents that are representing buyers that we see that we roll out the red carpet to, because we know they're not really going to be representing the buyer, and it's going to be a super easy transaction for us and for the sellers of the home, and probably pay way too much for the house than you needed to. So that's just some advice again from a listing agent about making sure you're working with a professional agent. There really are three choices you have as I see it, right? You can kind of be out on your own, just visiting open houses and do everything yourself, right? The second is working with somebody that's part-time, or maybe one of the rebate brokers. And the third is more working with a professional agent like our company that can really give you advice about the market, and particularly if you're relocating here, you've never bought a house before. The fourth mistake that I'm seeing homebuyers in the Austin, Texas area make is that they're focusing too much on kind of the doom and gloom of what's going on out there. And I get it. There's a lot of anxiety, a lot of nervousness. People don't know what's happening with the economy. And I'm the first to tell you that, if your job is shaky, or you think you're going to have to move and sell your house in 2 years, you probably should hold off on buying a house. Okay. But for the people that, if it does make sense and it does solve your problem, you probably should buy the house. And the biggest difference that I'm seeing is that, there's a difference between real estate and the stock market. And what is that? Well, the difference is that you have to live somewhere. And so particularly, I'm talking about the house that you're going to live in, that your family's going to live in, your kids are going to grow up in. That's different than, say, buying an investment property. But you have to look at that and have some perspective, have a 5-year perspective or a 10-year perspective, and look at the number of people that are moving to the area. And there's a lot of people out there trying to capitalize on that doom and gloom. And I don't know that that's all that great for you, because this is a great place to live. And it's going to be a great place to live over the next 10 years. And if you find that perfect house that you want to buy, I'm not saying that there's no chance of it dropping in value in the short run, and who knows exactly what's going to happen. I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is that I bought a house about 1.5 years ago, and I love it. And every day I'm just so grateful that we get to live in this house that I love, and I feel lucky that we didn't pass on it. And that's one of the mistakes, is that those great homes don't come on the market all the time. And so if you have an opportunity to buy it, if it's a perfect fit for you, you might consider that you should buy it and not so much listen to some of that doom and gloom that's out there, because my guess is in a couple of years, especially, you're probably going to regret not buying that house. I hope this information was helpful for you. If you are out in the market for buying a home and you want to be working with somebody that has the experience of working with sellers, and also buying homes for myself and working with so many clients, right, that we can pass on that experience on to you, call or text me directly at 512-791-7473. Or if it's more convenient for you, schedule a time on my calendar at kopaconsultation.com. Thanks for watching, and make it a great day.